Welcome to the Esoteric Empire. This is a food for thought video. Please feel free to check out my food for thought playlist. All right, so let's get started. So today I want to talk about the difference between your spirit and your ego. I was listening to a lecture earlier this week, and it really inspired me to amplify a message that I received while listening to that particular lecture. So it's the difference between your spirit and your ego. I personally have a positive view on the ego, but obviously there's balance to everything. So I thought it was important for me to put this message out there because, I don't know, I just feel like it's important. At this point in my journey, I realized that there's obviously a balance for everything. And there's a place for everything as well. And in this particular video, it's spirit and ego. So let's start off with spirit. Spirit is obviously a part of you. It's the you that is your highest you. It's the you that is not necessarily attached to your physical body. Some may argue that it's the you that is not attached to your mind in this particular lifetime, is connected to your soul, or it is your soul. So it's the you that travels through dimensions and lifetimes, and it's the you that you can't see when you look in the mirror, but it's the you that you can feel when, in times of need or in times of bliss. And so with that being said, it's the you that is connected to that overall universal, transdimensional everything. So it's that part of you that is connected to the whole of everything that we can imagine and that we can't imagine, the seen and the unseen. And so in knowing that, it can get kind of like buried within life and lessons that we learn in this lifetime, but it's always growing. It's always it's meant to grow. It's meant to expand. And so the difference between spirit and your ego is the part that makes you separate from that whole. Okay, so there's the balance with that. So ego is not bad. So it gives you identity in a positive way. It gives you your personality. It gives you your experiences to attach yourself to. And it gives you a sense of individuality. Now, the way that whole balance thing comes to play is because when you're having thoughts and you're trying to figure out, okay, what is the true me within a situation? Like, how do I know what I need to do? Or how do I know if I'm listening to the good guy versus the bad guy, like your conscience or whatever? The way that you can know is whenever you're going through something and you start having ideas or thought patterns that you are separate in a negative way, as far as like separately going through, or you're the only person going through something negative, or you're the only person who understands how you feel, or you're the only person who can relate to yourself, that's your ego. That's negative because it basically puts it to where you feel like you are not supported by the whole, which is your spirit, which when your spirit is connected, it's connected to the whole universe. And so that there's a lot of power behind that. And I just feel like it's important to understand that your spirit is connected to the whole. And yes, the ego serves a purpose, but oftentimes we allow our ego to tell us that either no one is there for us, or you're the only one who can go through this, or you're, like this whole like me syndrome. And that in itself is just, I don't know, it's just wrong. That's the way to know if you're listening to your ego or your spirit, because your spirit is always going to remind you that there's a bigger picture, but not just that, but there's resources, and that you're not alone, and you're never alone. It's just when you choose to be alone, it's because you're choosing your ego. And like I said, ego is not bad. I don't want to demonize the ego, but I do want to stress that there must be a balance. And even when it comes to spirituality and your spirit, you have to understand that your spirit also needs to be checked by your ego, because just like everything is not always bad, everything's not always good either. And your ego needs to be able to decide if you're going to accept certain things in life or not. Because yes, the spirit is a whole and it's a part of this whole universe or whatever, but your ego is what allows you to navigate certain pathways, because you can't go on every path, you know what I mean? not in one lifetime. So I hope this is making sense. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, in order to know, like, if you're listening to the right messages that you're receiving, messages that are yours or whatever, is to know that the ego will separate you from things and your spirit will connect you to things. Okay, so if you ever feel like you don't know if you're listening to the right thing, or if you need to know which way to go, that's how you know. And also the ego will also make it seem as though you have, like, you're the authority of everything, and that's just not true. There's always, just like they say, like, if you act big and bad, somebody bigger and badder is going to show you, you know what I'm saying? Like, you'll meet your match or whatever. And so in spirituality, I believe that's also true. Not necessarily in a negative way, but your spirit is always going to push you to act higher, to do better, to choose more for yourself in your highest capacity. Your ego, rather, will sometimes tell you not to do better, you know, because you've conquered a certain level, and your ego's like, I don't want to move up to that next level, then I'm going to be the rookie. So it's little things like that. You have to know when to listen to which side, I guess, or when to follow certain sides or whatever. But just remember that your ego will separate you, which is needed, and your spirit will connect you, which is also needed. So it's just a matter of you understanding what you need to do at each time. And I encourage you to sometimes allow your spirit to have more control, or just to have more guidance, because your spirit is going to challenge you just like your ego, but you're not going to be competing against your ego. Your spirit wants you to do better, wants you to come to a higher version of yourself. And in doing that, you meet amazing people, you have these amazing experiences. Your ego will a lot of times try to make you not experience those things because it's new and it doesn't want to not know what it's doing. So I hope that makes sense, you guys. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, or if you have your own thoughts, whether they're aligned with my views on it, or if they contradict them, or if they go against it, whatever, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.